Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Painting of the Week. We're just going to have a quick video this weekend. I saw a girl wearing a necklace that had this image of a rose on it, and it immediately reminded me of this painting. And you'll see prints of it oftentimes in rooms, like in college dorm rooms. People always have to have posters on the wall. And I see this one a lot. And it's of course the Rose Meditative by Salvador Dali. It's, like I said, one of, I think, the more recognizable paintings by Dalí, but it's not talked about as much as paintings like The Persistence of Memory or some of the more kind of quintessential surrealist works. This was painted in 1958, and I think it's one of Dalí's actually most interesting paintings. We see a rose without a stem, just the flowering or the reproductive portion of the plant, and I'm going to tie that in just a minute with this idea of this painting as a contemplative image of femininity. But this rose is just hovering in space, and based on the landscape below, it's appearing disproportionately large. So we immediately identify this or interpret this image, and especially when we look at the title, as an image that is intended for contemplation. We have this rose that's been blown up to larger-than-life size and then presented in front of us as this object on which we can meditate. And this idea of contemplation and art as a form of meditation was really the driving force behind a lot of the avant-garde artists, and Dalí himself didn't like being associated with the avant-garde. He didn't like that term as applied to him. But the separation of art from reality and becoming more in tune with the complexities of the mind and the subconscious, particularly that applies to surrealism, like this painting that we see here in Dalí's other works, and then later moving even further away from representationalism with the dawn of movements like abstract expressionism, which become completely dissociated with reality and completely just about paint itself. So as we meditate or as we contemplate this rose, the question then, of course, is what sentiments or what emotional thoughts are coming to mind. And I want to call your attention first to this. You see this tiny droplet of water on one petal of the rose, and I think this really intensifies the realism with a lowercase r, of this image. It's as if we're actually looking at a photograph of the rose. You'll see photographs of flowers a lot, right? And you can see the dew that's congregated on the surface of the flower. And of course, a rose is a common symbol of love and of passion. And of course, this rose is red, which I think reinforces that theme of love and passion. And it seems particularly red because it's in contrast with this very light blue sky, and then we have this golden glow of the landscape below. And as I said at the beginning of this video, this idea of the rose and the flower as this image of femininity, and even the landscape itself here reinforces this idea of the feminine, right? We talk sometimes about the influence of philosophy or, in this case, psychology on art. This idea that I think was originally developed by Freud of kind of a rolling hills landscape being indicative of the curves of a woman's body, and we see this landscape has these sort of smooth and delicate curves. So looking at this painting through a Freudian lens, we can see further symbolism of this idea of womanhood and the rose as a symbol of a woman's virtue. But also notice below the rose we have these two, and they're difficult to see because it's so small relative to the rose. It looks like two people standing right underneath the rose. So looking at this, as I was discussing before, in the context of the rose as a symbol of love and passion, we can view this object as meant for meditation on the meaning of love and the meaning of a relationship, as exemplified by this couple standing beneath this giant rose.